日本時間4月21日、米国時間4月20日、ロサンゼルス、ドジャースはコロラド、ロッキーズと対戦し、打線の爆発で勝利を収めた。主役はやはり大谷翔平だ。大谷はこの試合でも安打を放ち、連続出塁記録を52に伸ばした。すでに歴史的領域に突入しており、メジャー史に新たな足跡を刻み続けている。敵地クアーズ、フィールドでもその存在感は圧倒的で、相手投手は勝負を避ける場面も見られた。試合は初回に先制を許すも、ドジャースはすぐに反撃。マックス、マンシーとミゲル、ロハスの連続本塁打で流れを引き寄せ、その後も得点を重ねて主導権を握った。大谷も出塁や走塁で攻撃を活性化させ、勝利に大きく貢献した。しかし、チームには不安も残る。守護神エドウィン・ディアスが右肘の異常で手術を決断し、戦線離脱が決定。ブルペンは、クローザー不在の緊急体制を余儀なくされる。番組ではこの後、試合前の専門家分析、ロバーツ監督のコメント、そして大谷のハイライト映像を詳しくお届けする。ぜひ最後までご覧いただきたい。
Very much. Shohei Ohtani extended his on-base streak yesterday in Colorado. Now in third place, all alone after passing Hall of Famer Willie Keeler. Next up, Sean Green's 53-game streak set in 2000. Hall of Famer Duke Snider, 58-game on-base streak in the summer of 1954, still stands as the modern National League record. And speaking of streaks, Shohei has a 34-game on-base streak just against the Rockies. It's been almost 6 years since he didn't reach base in a game against Colorado. Jerry, that was back before he had ever won any of these MVPs. Safe to say he likes facing the Rockies.
Well, obviously the Rockies, the last few years they may not have had the best pitching staff. I mean, we know they've tried to rebuild the last several years, and Shohei Ohtani's taken advantage of it. We know his talent, tremendous power. They're going to be very careful when he's at the plate. He'll draw his walks, and he can do that. Scrub baseballs, go the other way, with power on a line. So it's not surprising that Shohei Ohtani has this streak. I'm sure he has several other streaks against various ball clubs.
He's great, John. Well, and also your Colorado hitters get really confident when going to Colorado. It is a place that hitters like to hit. You see that big outfield, the ball carries, and we know with his power, he can just, if he just mishits, it hits off the end, it'll still carry out of the ballpark, whether you're in Colorado or any ballpark. So obviously the ball carries even a little more. So you have that confidence, and then you face the team or when you're at your home ballpark and you're confident there. So all that builds up, and he has the success. But you're right. I'm sure we see these numbers against other teams, not just against Colorado.
Hey, and with a SWAT team lineup today, as Jerry likes to call it, Dodgers might be leaning on Shohei even a little bit more in the series finale tonight. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Access Sportsnet Dodgers, brought to you by your Toyota dealers, John Hartung, alongside Jerry Hairston Jr., Nomar Garcia-Parra. Nomar, you never want to lose any series, so the Dodgers today still have a chance to get out of Colorado with a split.
Yeah, and especially on getaway day, you always want to have that happy flight. So you want to leave with that good feeling and have some momentum going to the next series, especially when you're going to San Francisco. So take care of business today.
You're trying to avoid 3 losses in a row to Colorado. You got to play great baseball. They understand it. I expect the Dodgers to do their thing tonight. They're winning tonight.
All right, well, we begin with the injury report brought to you by Keck Medicine of USC, because this is a big one. Edwin Diaz placed on the 15-day injured list with right elbow loose bodies. He pitched yesterday in Colorado, did not record an out in the 8th inning. It was his first time pitching in 9 days. The velocity down considerably once again. Diaz is going to have elbow surgery here in L.A. on Wednesday, so Jake Eder, who was acquired from the Nationals on April 1st, has been called up from AAA Oklahoma City. Now, when the season is 162 games long, we know that there will always be some adversity at a certain point. The Dodgers not immune to that, as we have seen with Mookie Betts, Blake Snell already this season, and now with Edwin Diaz. Kirsten Watson is on the road with the Dodgers, and she joins us live from Coors Field in Colorado with the latest on Edwin Diaz. Hi there, Kirsten.
Hi, John. Well, last night when Edwin Diaz came out of the bullpen, as you mentioned it, we hadn't seen him pitch in 9 days. And so when he got going, the stuff wasn't there, really. Even afterwards, when Dave Roberts was talking about him, he just said that something didn't seem right. Ultimately, Edwin actually ended up talking to the coaching staff behind the trainers, said he felt some elbow discomfort. That led to him having some imaging. And then, of course, the news we found out today that he's going to need surgery to remove some of those loose bodies. Dave Roberts talked about just that conversation they had with Edwin last night and what this means for him moving forward.
Yeah, well, obviously we all saw, the stuff last night, and it was set up, red flags. And so after the game, he had a conversation with our training staff and felt that he had some elbow discomfort, and kind of looking at what was going on last night. So we just wanted to be proactive and felt that it was smart to get an MRI, get imaging, which we did do. And it showed loose bodies. And so it happens with players, and so it just kind of came to a head last night. And so we felt get the surgery scheduled and expect a second half return.
Did he say if it had been bothering him before, or that was the first time he felt it?
First time he felt it. And so, not to make it about myself, but I had that same surgery at the end of my career, and it's something that just, you have loose bodies and they're asymptomatic until they're not. And so I can kind of relate to, what he was going through. So it just happened last night, and it's unfortunate.
As far as the closer situation now, who closes for you? Does it go back to Tanner?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know that. There could be a big spot in the seventh where I feel that could be the game. And so I do feel comfortable with, a handful of guys, really, that I feel that can close out games for us. So right now, I'm not going to name a closer.
For the last week, when it came to Edwin Diaz, when they were running some tests, just when really focusing on his knee, as he had shared that the results that he was kind of missing, especially in that last outing he had against Rangers, in which he had his first blown save, he had said he felt that was more due to that knee that he had surgery on back in 2023 that had led to kind of a slower build when it comes to his velocity as the year goes on. Of course, last night, that was the assumption. Maybe his knee was bothering him. They never assumed an elbow or even surgery issues. And even like Dave Roberts said, sometimes when you have those loose bodies, it can kind of pick up at any point. So the good news, they have felt that at least they've caught it early in the season. They do expect him to return in the second half, but they are going to be without him for some time. And it does sound like for right now, they're going to go with a true closer by committee, not necessarily a specific person like we've been seeing with Edwin Diaz, guys.
And we have been here before, it seems like, the last few years. Kirsten, thank you very much. And that's why, one of the reasons we were so excited about Edwin Diaz coming here is that he gave the Dodgers their first dedicated closer since Kenley Jansen 5 years ago, Nomar, but now he's on the IL. So as Kirsten mentioned, we're back to a closer by committee situation until Edwin Diaz can come back.
Listen, Dave Roberts has been in this situation before. The bullpen has been in this situation before where it is closer by committee. And Dave Roberts says, I'm not going to name one right now. But make no mistake, he's looking for one. It'd be nice to see if somebody actually can take the reign, get the ball that he can trust to go out there and say, okay, this is our closer until Edwin Diaz is healthy and comes back. And prior to that, they had Tanner Scott. They got Tanner Scott to be that closer with his struggles. He didn't, he lost his job and they went back to closer by committee just due to his struggles. He's looked so much better. He's done it before. Maybe he comes out and says, okay, starts getting the job done and can be that guy. The other thing, too, I know you have other options there, but we also saw a guy who closed out in the postseason, and he was outstanding. And you just never know there, too, if he continues to have the struggles as a starter. Maybe that's an option now to go put him in the bullpen, and maybe that would be something. I'm thinking Roki Sasaki as an option later on. Am I saying immediately? Right. No, but as you start seeing as this play out, that's another option, too, as you see maybe some other starters, some guys maybe down in the minors might be starting, looking really good, seeing what your options may be. So they have some options right now, but make no mistake, I still think they're looking for somebody, because having that guy in the back end who can close the game definitely is a huge plus. We say that time and time again for the rest of the bullpen and the team.
Yeah, I love the point you made about Dave Roberts looking for his guy. He's not going to name a closer yet, but he's looking for a guy to step up. And I think, and you made a point earlier on the last show, is how the bullpen can be helped is by our starters going deep in the ball game to allow these guys like Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan, and so on and so forth be pitching in the right spots. Not in the fifth inning, not in the sixth inning, but eighth and ninth inning. So hopefully the starters can help out that bullpen.
And you know what? The starters have been doing a good job this year. They have been doing it. So we're not saying, hey, this is why they're in this predicament because it started. But it's continue doing the job you're doing. Because last year they did struggle as far as going deep in the game, and the bullpen definitely wore that last year. But this year's been a different story. Guys have been doing excellent. They just need to continue doing that.
Hopefully Robo can continue that tonight, because we're only 3 games into playing 13 days in a row.
Thank you, John. One more time from the Banquet Ballpark, Coors Field in Denver, where the Dodgers and Rockies are wrapping up a 4-game wraparound series, and the Dodgers need a win tonight to salvage a split. Once again from the broadcast booth, next to Oral Hershiser, I'm Stephen Nelson. Kirsten Watson has the news of the day in just a moment. But Oral, the Dodgers are the last team in baseball to lose back-to-back games, and both losses were blown lead losses.
It's kind of the first time this year they get to play from kind of anger, and I think that anger is the fact that they're not going to win 3 out of 4 here. They've got a chance to split.
And those losses hurt even more now with today's news about Edwin Diaz. Kirsten Watson will share the details.
Yeah, Stephen, well, last night we saw Edwin Diaz come out of the bullpen. It was his first outing in 9 days, and he gave up 3 hits, 3 runs. Afterwards, Dave Roberts was saying that something just didn't look right, and ultimately Edwin ended up talking to the training staff, sharing that he had some elbow discomfort that led to an MRI, which revealed that in his right elbow he has some loose bodies and is actually going to undergo and have surgery on Wednesday. Dave Roberts made it clear that he should be returning the second half of the season, but what does that mean in the meantime for this group, especially for the bullpen? They're not going to replace Edwin with another true closer. They're going to go back to the mindset they've had before with a closer by committee. That means it could be Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, or even someone like Alex Vesia. But right now, when he looks at the bullpen, you look at the last 2 games, 8 runs on 11 hits. He does want to see this group get back on track and truly executing their pitches, guys.
No doubt, Kirsten. Something that should help in that equation, Oral, is the continued success of the starting staff. And Justin Robleski, he had a lot of success in his last outing.
Yeah, first Dodger starter recording out in the 7th inning, and he didn't stop there. He ended up with 8. And boy, there wasn't a lot of swing and miss. There wasn't a lot of strikeouts, but there's a lot of weak contact. The hard hit rate was very low, below league average, and he's doing it with just a couple of pitches. So as he's been executing his fastball and his slider, that's about 95% of the pitches that he's been throwing. So he is being very accurate with 2 pitches, and I've always said, 1 to compete, 2 to win, and 3 to dominate. Well, the 3rd pitch is the curveball, and it has been dominant also.
So, Oral, you have that simplicity combined with his tenacity that should be a recipe for continued success, and this is a guy who has really come along the last year and a half.
Well, the Rockies are very aggressive, especially on first pitch. So I think we're not only going to see some fastballs for strikes on first pitch, I think he's going to need to use his slider very early in the count.
Familiar with the Rockies and familiar with Coors Field. So he'll start this finale trying to pitch the Dodgers to a split. Shohei Ohtani will lead off next on Sportsnet LA. What does he offer with this 7th pitch? Another 2-2. Bouncing ball to first. Backs up Johnston to Quintana, who bobbles it. And Ohtani reaches safely. It is the 2nd time this series the Rockies have misplayed things on the right side of the infield, allowing Shohei to reach out of the leadoff spot.
First time he reached, it was a high throw from the first baseman. And this is a decent throw. Should have been caught. Had his glove turned the wrong way. The waist high is where you flip your glove either one way or the other. That one was above the waist. You probably should have had the glove the opposite direction.
Quintana with the 2-2. Pulled to right. That's down for a hit. A leadoff single for Shohei Ohtani in the 3rd. On-base streak. Add one more, now 52.
He continues to impress even when he loses balance a little bit. That's why that streak is up to 52. He can get fooled a little bit and still hit it hard. Loses a little balance, lost his weight shift, but lengthens the swing, drops the top hand off, and still barrels it up for a hard line drive.
That's wrapped to left at well by Call. Back-to-back base hits to open the 3rd.
Alex had a nice pass in his first at bat where he hit it hard to 3rd base. It was out. This one he gets in the air. Kim and Call and Freeland, all the different guys, Miguel, they're all swinging the bat well.
On the ground to 3rd, had some spin on it, and Carroll's can't handle it. So Ohtani gets waved home, called to 3rd. Make it 3-1 LA.
The ball's hit weakly with a lot of spin, which is then going to possibly make it curve a little bit more. And also, Kyle Karros is trying to do something quickly to maybe get a double play, playing deep, weakly hit with a lot of spin, and that just fooled him. That ball was curving every bounce that it made on the ground.
Let's start with the three big things happening around the game of baseball. And the first of those, we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and his on-base streak. It continues. The Shohei Ohtani on-base streak at this point is historic, and it is continuing to grow and grow. So, if you didn't know, Shohei Ohtani has reached base in every single game dating back to August 24th of 2025. And if that sounds like a long time, it is a long time. He just recently passed Ichiro for the longest streak by a Japanese-born baseball player, and he has some big notable upcoming numbers as well. But we are reaching historic territory here, and there's a chance he could break the all-time record. On-base streak does not include an error, by the way. It's a walk, it's a hit, it's an intentional walk, but just reaching base via an error doesn't count, which is something we saw over the weekend. He took until his last at bat. He reached base early in the game on an error. It does not count. It took until his last at bat to continue the streak. It is 51 straight games on base for Shohei Ohtani. Since August 24th of last year, he's reached base every single game. So, notable upcoming numbers. Barry Bonds reached 57, so that's a big name upcoming. The Dodgers all-time record is 58. So Shohei is at 51. 58 is the Dodgers all-time record. So if he continues, sometime next week, middle of next week, he would break the all-time Dodgers record. Joe DiMaggio at 74. So the year he had his 56-game hit streak, he actually continued the on-base streak. That got to 74. One game before the hit streak started, and I think my math could be off, but like 17 games after the hit streak ended. So Joe DiMaggio at 74. And then the all-time record is 84, set by Ted Williams. 84 straight games. So Shohei's at 51, 84 minus 51. He's 33 games away from doing that. Now, if you look on FanDuel Sportsbook, they have some cool odds up on whether a player, on whether Shohei, basically how far he will get. To break the all-time Dodgers record of 58, he's minus 142 to do that. So he is favored to break the all-time Dodgers record. And the all-time record, Ted Williams, 84, he is plus 900 to do that. It's basically 9-1. He is not favored to do that, but he certainly could get there. A few days ago, it was plus 1,200. Now it's plus 900. So he's getting closer and closer and closer. Does he get there? We will see. But Shohei Ohtani's on-base streak continues. 51 straight games, and it dates back to August 24th of last season. So we'll see if this week it can continue even further. But really cool there.
今回も最後までご視聴いただき本当にありがとうございました。動画の内容を楽しんでいただけたでしょうか。もしよろしければチャンネル登録と高評価をお願いいたします。皆さんの応援が今後の動画制作の大きな励みになります。それではまた次回の動画でお会いしましょう。